Okay, and while we're on the topic of revitalizing downtown, you may have heard about this report this week from Governor Tina Kotek's Portland Central City Task Force. This is from their tax advisory group, which put together a list of policy options to, quote, realign Portland's tax and service systems with current realities. Now, the chair of that tax group writing, "The data are clear. Our current path is eroding economic competitiveness and public trust. Not every idea on the table will be right for Portland, but doing nothing is not an option. We must be willing to make bold, targeted changes now to restore our economic vitality and deliver the services our communities expect and deserve." Now, among the 38-page report, there are three sort of pillars that the tax group says need to be focused on. Number one, strengthening fiscal governance and transparency. Two, reforming major revenue programs. And lastly, revitalizing Portland Central City. Now, each of those comes with several policy ideas meant to be a sort of starting point for discussion about reforms. And not everyone in the tax group agreed on all of these. Now, since we just talked about downtown, let's start with number three. Joining us live to help us better understand this is John Taponia, a consultant to the Central City Task Force and a senior policy advisor with the firm Eco Northwest. Mr. Taponia, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I mentioned, let's start with that downtown piece of the report. Most of the recommendations revolve around attracting employers downtown through tax credits and exemptions. So from your perspective, would doing one or all of those things move the needle enough to bring businesses downtown?
Absolutely, and the idea is these are options. So it wouldn't make sense to sort of take all 20. Some of them are competing with one another. But certainly there's some really good ideas in that section that you just referred to, in particular, sort of the business incentive tax credit. So both the city and the county have corporate income taxes that they levy on businesses in the region. And so if you take out a lease in a downtown office, maybe getting a break on those taxes would incent folks to come in. And I know there are active conversations right now. The city actually ran that during the pandemic. It had a $25 million budget for it, and it was well subscribed. Other ideas, we have a strategic investment program out in Washington County, used very heavily for the semiconductor industry. So the idea might be, what if we had something for downtown, and people that wanted to build and invest capital in downtown might get some property tax breaks over time?
So we hear all the time from people in the community and businesses alike that the perception of downtown Portland is often enough to keep people away. Now, you add things like those parking fee increases that we talked about earlier. I mean, what can be done in your eyes, to fix downtown's reputation?
Well, a lot of it really does have to do with foot traffic. I think the more that people come into downtown, I think they're going to see a different downtown than many have in their own mind. But gradually getting that foot traffic back, and it starts with visitors. And I think the city and the Portland Metro Chamber and others have done a good job. There's a staycation program that's coming up in September, et cetera. Getting more people exposed and seeing a few more people every time you go down, I think is going to be really important to change the perception.
But do you think increased parking fees and regulations like that would work against revitalizing efforts?
Well, as somebody trained in economics, taxes have incentives, and so increasing costs, it does put a little bit of a headwind in that, sure.
Okay, now let's talk about the part of the report making the most waves this week, proposed changes to major revenue programs. We're talking about the supportive housing services tax, the Portland Clean Energy Fund, and the Preschool for All. Now, the report recommends pausing the Preschool for All tax for a few years, exploring alternative funding, and eventually transition the program statewide and ending the local tax. Just yesterday, county commissioners punted the idea of indexing the tax to inflation, with serious pushback from the community worried about the future of the program. Now, it appears any Preschool for All reform would be sort of an uphill battle. Do these recommendations for the program even have a chance?
So first of all, I would describe these as options. They weren't recommendations, and there's a little bit of a difference there. And I think it really does have to do with where and how do elected officials look at the severity of the city and the county's economic performance. There is a big debate right now. The Multnomah County's job performance is lagging significantly to its neighboring counties, to Clark County, and to the rest of the state and to the nation. And a big question as to whether sort of the combination of all these programs coming online with all of their various taxes at the same time has something to do with that economic underperformance. I think the balance of the view of those on the task force was there was a relationship between those things, and that elected leaders need to look at each of those three programs seriously and think about changes that could be made that would both ease the tax burden and increase the performance of the services. One of the biggest problems is that across those three programs, at the end of fiscal year 2024, there was $1.2 billion of unspent balances measured across those three programs. So, they were new, they came online very quickly. They've all had implementation issues of different kinds. And I think there's work to be done on both sides, sort of thinking about how we're collecting the money, thinking about how we're delivering programs.
Okay, John Toponia, consultant to the Central City Task Force. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's your turn. What do you think about some of these proposals or ideas? Anything stand out to you? Let us know. Email the story at kgw.com or call and leave us a voicemail, 503-226-5090.